Good morning. This is a meeting of the Kingston Recycling Committee, June 10th, 2025.
Too cold.
We did start a little late. It's 9:15. Members of the committee in the room are Jean,
Jean White.
David,
Hi, David McConnell.
Jean Landis-Nauman, and we also have our DEP MAC here, Todd Kepper. All right, so good morning, everyone. All right, we do not have minutes from 4:15 or 5:13, so we're going to defer on those. Vanessa was not able to join us today. Okay, I don't see Sean, so I'm guessing he's not going to be joining us today. So as I mentioned, I do have bills to be approved. One is for the lumber. That bill was $303.49. Is that what you have?
I don't know if I don't know.
Okay, so we had previously approved up to $500, so we just need to sign off on this to have it paid. So I need both your signatures on that. Oh, they have another one here. So this bill for the block and the hooks. Seven and 776. 16, 17. Okay, so 106.73. So what we have spent so far is 156.23, 86.98, and now 106.73. So we're still under the 500 that you had authorized. That. So,
Did you do that?
sure. You previously paid me for $156.23 and then $86.98. And now this bill will be $106.73.
How much did the chair cost with the chairs?
The chair, which one?
The one with the hood on.
What's the hood on it? Let's see. I have all of that here. Too many folders, guys.
I think we already paid for it.
That's not why I asked. I'm just curious about it and what it's
Okay.
called, because I'd like
It was $64.99.
$64.99. What is it called, Gene?
Let's
Name?
see, it is folding zero gravity recliner
Thank you.
with canopy shade and headrest and tray. And then the other chair from BJ's was just a simple folding chair. It was $21.99. And then the runner must have been the other amount that I mentioned. Must have been, oh, it was the runner, the stickers. And tablets, so that was 86.98. So 350 about we've spent.
The lumber bill again was how much?
That was 303.49. I've got the details here if you want.
No, I have the detail. I just didn't get the pricing on it.
And I did get the bill yesterday from Black Earth. It was 344, so I signed off on that. And I did get the bill from Jess, and it was a little bit more. It was 175. And I got the detail if you want to look at how she arrived at the 175.
Can I take a second about the floor paint? So this is what I'm recommending. It's made for deck and floor paint. And it'll seal it, and it has anti-skid mixed in with it, like sand.
Is that the ramp?
No, that's for the inside of the floor. I
Oh,
put 2 coats of that stuff on, but it was more or less just stain.
Yeah, well, we knew that that's what it was going to be, was the stain. Now, this says porch floor and patio.
It's meant for outdoor.
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with this product.
I am.
Okay. Do you
So
think it'd be
it-
appropriate in the swamp shop?
Well, when people walk in and they have wet feet, the water's gonna collect in the nail holes because they're recessed.
Well, that's why I got the rubber mat for the front. So that pretty much it'll wipe off a lot. I understand there's still gonna be dirt on the floor. We're probably gonna have to sweep like I did in the other place, but
The dirt's gonna fall in
why
the
don't,
nail hole.
what do you think, David?
well, I'm assuming that the non-skid is not as aggressive as perhaps you may be thinking.
Okay. Just want to
I'm
get the
sure
name
it's
of this.
yes.
So it's kind of like rubbery, so it's kind of sticky, and it has the sand in it. And when you paint it on the floor, it will level out the nail holes.
Okay,
Because if the water gets in, it's gonna rest in the nail
right,
holes.
right.
And then they're gonna rust, and then it's gonna, the rust color is gonna spread to the fire, and it's gonna look crappy. But if you put that on, it's like what they use on the battleship deck or something like that, you know? So it'll level it out. It'll be easy to sweep. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but
I don't, well, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with doing it.
Okay.
I'm in agreement on that.
Are you willing to do that? And do you know how long it takes to dry? Because we've got to get moving.
No, we do, but we still have to get the shelving out and check on that. But
Yeah.
I would assume that that's probably a 24-hour setup.
Okay.
If that.
Okay, if it's just 25. All right, I need your signature and then this. If I can sign that or not. I'll have to ask the accountant's office.
Did Mike find the square?
He did, yeah, he did. It was what happened was he saw the big one and he didn't see the little one and Katie moved it. But when she said, oh, I had, it's in the show, wherever it was. But yes, thank you.
Stressing me out. I don't want to think I'm a fucking me.
Well, I mean, he did immediately say that, that's not a nice way to get a tool. I mean, it's gonna go over to your house, but I said, no, take it easy, all right?
I have more tools
No,
than
he
he
didn't.
does.
He didn't.
I have every mechanic tool, every carpentry tool.
No, he
I went to trade school, so I had to have all.
He didn't make an issue out of it.
All right. So back to our agenda. Okay, so that's exactly where we are, is update on the swap shop. So you want to put that in, you want to put that on. And then I know you guys have been working on the corral. We'll get to that in a minute.
Well, what about, what you, on the swap shop, you get, well, the siding's done.
Yep.
The wreath's done, shelving and signage.
Mhm.
Okay, so, I'll just, I'll write down the interior dimensions. And at some point, we can make an appointment to get into the old fire station.
Mhm.
And I expect that we will not be needing all the shelving.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I don't know what we want to do with that, is that they'll continue to store it, maybe it can be used at a later date,
Mhm.
or they may want to get it out of there. But again, I or we can go in there and measure things to make sure we have the right dimension relative to passageway
Mhm.
and that sort of thing, which is gonna, obviously, clearly gonna determine, the volume of shelving.
Right.
So that can be done anytime, pretty much.
Okay. Right. But here's my dilemma, as I told you before. I go on vacation. The 28th. I'll be gone for 2 weeks,
That's 6/28.
6/28. Okay. I come back on the 12th. And hopefully we can have a meeting on the 15th, and then I have my surgery on the 17th. And then I'll be out of commission for a while. So the majority of getting this going is going to rest on you two. I'll do what I can from home, like solicit volunteers. I do have stuff ready for signage.
Do you know roughly how long your recuperation period is gonna be? Is it gonna be a couple of weeks, or? Hopefully not. You don't know.
I'm guessing that because it's my left, I'll be able to drive probably within a month.
I can pick you up.
No, I'm just not gonna be mobile, that's the problem.
Why don't you reach out to Paul? He's retired
To do what?
to help with the shed. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He
Right,
probably keep that
right.
thing in the shape in a matter of probably a couple days.
Yeah, but we've got to get the signs and
Tell him I'll take him out to lunch if he helps.
Hmm?
Tell him I'll take him out to lunch for Wayne's if
Okay.
he helps.
we've got to get the signs. We've got to get the volunteers. Minimal training for the volunteers, but to help them,
Well, Everett, I think.
just understand the direction we're going this time with the swap shop. What was it? Oh, it's
Everett.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was Everett. Thank you.
Okay, so did I send you guys the swap shop operations plan?
I don't recall seeing it.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you didn't send it.
All right,
Did it work?
why don't I go run off a couple of copies of stuff?
There, no, for.
I copy of people.
This is why I switched to an iPad because I couldn't even read my own writing.
Is that right?
I'm like, I need to do something else.
My penmanship used to be
I'm an honorary doctor for my writing. You need a script? Easy.
You know.
I can make it with a
There you
pen.
go. Yeah, you should have been a doctor.
How you doing?
No, but I've got notebooks and notebooks and like notepads and all these notes for the last 9 years of being here. And I go back and read them, I'm like, I don't even know what I wrote. But I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna deal with technology, we'll buy the iPad and that's what we use it for, so. Way easier to, less
My
paper.
penmanship was really excellent, excellent. My brother and I had a brother and sister, who was considerably older. And I see occasionally, they both on occasionally see something that they wrote.
Yeah.
And right up until then, and left-handed people don't always write. But I went to go to school, you got a sheet of white line paper. And being left-handed, you know, writing like this and I'm going across the page, right?
Yeah.
So I always had to have my hand up.
Yeah.
And if you got to the last character and oh, yeah, and I wrote rather well. In fact, people would comment on it. But and when I look at my brother and sister, it was like, and nicely, it's terrible, really.
Okay, so Everett Malagudi from Plymouth has joined us. Good morning, Everett. Welcome. All right, we were just going to start going over the just some paperwork for the swap shop. You're supposed to have an operations plan, just sets forth the rules and the guidelines. So that it operates in cooperation with the operation of the transfer station and all the regulations. So I think we've agreed that it's going to be open just Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 3 and only when a volunteer is present. This just sets forth the fact that the superintendent of streets and parks has the authority for the operations there, including the swap shop. We're responsible for scheduling volunteers and assuring that it's operated properly. And we have to instruct the volunteers that they shall make reasonable efforts to ensure that all swap shop users have fair and reasonable access to all items in the swap shop. So access is for Kingston residents only, and they're going to be parking in the well, we don't have marked parking spaces, but well, they can park there or and near the swap shop. Okay, are you okay with that so far? Okay. Placement and removal of items. Volunteers responsible for accepting and placing items in the swap shop in an orderly manner. All visitors are required to observe all posted rules. The decision of the volunteer to accept an item must be honored. All items in the swap shop shall be recycled after 2 months. Each item accepted will be labeled by month. Volunteers will be responsible for removing all items older than 2 months and placed in a box for removal. No items may be stored outside the swap shop. Acceptance of items shall be based on cleanliness, completeness, and usability based on available space. Accepted and prohibited items are determined for safety and size. Any items considered hazardous, unsanitary, unsafe, or inoperable for the intended use are not acceptable.
It's only one page, right?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
just one little line on the back that I didn't copy. Prohibited items should be recycled in the appropriate recycle containers. Please see the attached list of examples of acceptable and prohibited items. Okay. So then this is all draft. You can tell me what you want changed. So
Are you gonna have access to power?
no.
I would make darn sure that those work on anything electrical.
Yeah,
Like, to the
small
best
enough
of your
to work.
knowledge, yeah.
Yeah. So swap shop rules are bring something in or take something. All items must be in clean, useful working condition. See list of acceptable items and prohibited items. Volunteers will determine acceptability. So that'll be posted. That would be a sign, yes.
So just because Everett's on here too, one of the things that we were talking about in Plymouth was buying, and this is an acceptable form of RDP funds, is that buying one of the battery packs and plugging the stuff into that just to see if it works. They're pretty small now. I think Jackery makes a little one. You can literally plug it in, see if it works, and that's it.
How much are they?
They range from $200 to, a couple thousand for if you're gonna power your whole house. But I mean,
Well, what do you guys think?
it's just a thought. It's a thought. And I think
Okay.
it was a great idea in Plymouth because you want to make sure that those electrical things are working.
Yeah.
No, they're pointless.
Right, right.
I mean, the question can be asked, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, you're gonna get the right answer.
Right.
Just a thought.
So that's not a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea. It's just
And
another,
this- Yeah, the small ones aren't
expenditure.
really terribly expensive, but they do need to be recharged.
Yeah.
oh,
They,
okay.
they have like, you have 3 solar panels, stand them up outside and it hooks to it and it'll charge it.
Mhm.
Oh.
And, so like a Blue Eddy or
Yeah.
EcoFlow,
That makes-
whatever.
that makes- yeah, that
They're
makes
not
sense.
very expensive.
They're
When you
really-
say not very, what would you guess?
You think,
It varies so much. I could look it up and send you some prices.
Okay,
yeah, you should, and they're,
I mean-
they're really efficient. I had an old lobster boat that leaked. And I had the bilge pump hooked up to the, and it never failed, and
Oh, you used to-
it was only this big. I
Yeah,
had
that's
I had a
smart.
thing on top of the roof of the coach, of the cabin.
okay.
Well, I'm assuming you want something large enough that can accommodate, like plug it in a microwave to see if it works.
Wait, that's
No,
just
I don't think we're
just
gonna
small
accept
one.
no, something that big.
I wouldn't do like.
Yeah, no, I would say, if somebody brings in a,
Maybe a blender or something.
or a coffee maker or
Yeah.
something like, something small.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't need any huge power for something just to see if you can get it to power up. So,
Most everything is gonna
Well,
come in,
I
it's
was
gonna be
thinking you
15
can
amps.
put some LED lights in it
oh, yeah.
too.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, might as well.
Okay, all
Yeah, I
right, so
think
you're gonna, price that out, Gene? Okay, good, all right. So far, are we okay with the rules and me having a sign made?
Yes,
Yeah.
All right, then the acceptable items. Books. CDs, DVDs. Do people even have those anymore?
They do, actually.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay, children's toys, small. Dishes and glassware, electrical appliance, kitchen appliances, small, must work. Games, kitchenware, paintings and picture frames, pots and pans, puzzles, vases, video games. Is there anything else?
What's the size of the shed again?
12 by 18.
That's pretty big. Wow, okay.
Well, once you're in there, it doesn't look all
Well, it
that
looks
big.
smaller with stuff in it, but it's still a decent.
Yeah, I
size.
think we're gonna be able to get
Yeah.
a good number of shelving
Yeah.
units in there.
I think if we put pegboard on the wall, that would help to organize. It would spread out the surface area that you could see what's actually there. So you could have some stuff on the shelf, and some stuff hanging.
Okay,
Be
well, I was
easier to
thinking
organize.
particularly for pictures and frames, that would make sense, because that way, before they were on the floor, which
Did-
was not good.
Did you get a lot of pictures?
Hmm?
Did you get a lot of pictures with that?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
That's the first time I've heard that. I've never
Yeah.
seen pictures on a
yeah,
software.
no, we had a lot of pictures.
I
come
mean,
in.
all the times I've been in Halifax, I mean, I lived there.
Yeah.
Immediately my second home. I mean, I never saw pictures of it.
No,
Cool.
no,
Okay.
Maybe they didn't accept them.
Oh, no, there was no supervision.
Oh.
People just drop stuff off. I mean,
so what, are you
That's
guys
all right.
okay with this? Because I'll have to make this made into a sign.
You want to go into a little,
You have it in front of you. I gave you a package, the acceptable items.
I'm kind of curious if people question children's toys small, like what would that entail?
yeah, well, that's, yeah.
Well, it's kind of relative, right?
I know.
You don't want this stroller that's for two?
Yeah.
That's not a child's toy.
Well, I was just
No
kind of
choice.
curious because it's, small is kind of a relative term. I don't know if you
I
want to
know.
give any examples, but The other thing I would recommend
Mhm.
is multilingual. You don't have to, but.
What language?
Pick one, Portuguese,
Portuguese
Spanish.
is, Portuguese is the
Italian.
Do
second.
we
one.
have someone that can
He does.
do the Portuguese?
Huh?
You can get somebody to.
Yeah,
put
the
this-
guy who owned the business I worked for.
Okay.
Was.
All right, so if I get, you have that package, if you can have it put into Portuguese, that would be great. Okay.
You can actually do it on the computer, just translate it.
Google's
Wait.
kind of finicky, so.
Yeah, yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard
I mean,
complaints
I
about
would-
translations.
It's, what's your dog's name? And you're like, where's the toilet? It's like, what? Thanks, Google.
Very good. So here's the prohibited items. It's pretty large. Looks very worthy. No sharp items, air conditioners, batteries, bed springs and frames, catalogs, Christmas trees, computers, construction material, clothing, cushions, humidifiers, encyclopedias, food items, furniture, upholstery, gas-powered equipment, grills, large appliances, mattresses, medicine, microwaves, monitors, printers, paints, varnishes, stains, thinners, pillows, refrigerators, rugs, stuffed animals, television, telephones, tires, trash compactors.
Monitors, do you have that in there?
Yeah, I do. Monitors and printers.
Right there, okay, sorry, I missed it.
Is there anything else? Are you guys okay?
There probably is. There's a lot
Probably
of
is,
stuff
when you
out there.
find out, you're gonna find out when.
Yeah, as soon as you open.
Yeah. Yeah. So then inside,
Sporting
you know,
goods?
these will be posted outdoors indoors. We're not gonna do anything outdoors.
I would say
um,
sporting goods.
Hmm?
Sporting goods.
Oh, yes.
That's a big thing, because I know in
Yes,
Halifax,
okay.
we get tennis rackets and baseball bats, they would get
Oh, yeah.
gloves and balls and all kinds
Okay.
of stuff, so I'm not sure where you want.
Well, we were
Yeah.
getting hockey stuff and
Hockey
some of
Okay.
it, some of it was foul.
Yeah, no, I'll put that in here.
So I'm not sure if that's acceptable or not, what you want to.
No, we decided after our experience last time, we were gonna,
Good stuff. Okay.
yeah, thank you. That was a good catch.
Maybe make a recommendation on there, you can bring that to Savers or something, right? So.
Well, that's it. I think Ken Stone from Plymouth had mentioned that they're gonna have a list of places where you can
Yeah.
take items.
That's a good idea.
It's a
Yeah.
very good idea, multiple locations, because yeah, you've got Restore down the street off of, what is it, 58
Mhm.
in, like the Carver,
Oh,
right down the.
the
border.
shopping area there where
Yeah, there's like a Corvette place there, and then there's like Restore, there's McDonald's, past the Stop and Shop.
Tractor Supply.
Tractor
Yeah.
Supply, yeah, then you got, I think there's Savers in Plymouth. Or-
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
It's on the old 44. I forget what that,
Yeah.
that,
was where Shaw's was.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's behind.
It's
there.
not where, I mean, it's in that plaza.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that option of listing off other areas. that would-
And then there's
Yeah.
there's one on 53 and over thereabouts.
Yeah, Hanover has one off that exit. Can't think of the name. I don't remember any personally.
Now, there was a place on Pottle Street that Vanessa told us about.
On
And
Bottle Street?
yeah, and I think they've moved. But I'll ask Vanessa where that group is. They were helping people who were just,
Oh, something hope floats.
it wasn't Hope Floats, but it was, I think it was church related. But they were providing all sorts of things for people who were getting established in a home.
Yeah,
There's
For some
a
reason,
woman's
they-
shelter on King Bishop's Highway. I did an internship there. They help women who come out of rehab
Mhm.
and they teach them parenting skills and they
Mhm.
collect all the furniture and help them get an apartment.
Well, are you thinking of Pilgrim, the homeless shelter there and on,
A homeless shelter.
yeah.
It used to be
They
called
don't-
Covered Bridge.
They don't take food anymore. We used to take, when we had functions and we had, it was good stuff. And they were great, but they can't take it anymore.
I know, we used to always take,
Yeah.
you know, leftovers from big functions, you know, you'd have trays of
They
food.
can't, it's,
They won't take it,
no, nothing.
and they won't take
So-
used of anything. They want all new.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Cause as each family moves out, well, when they come in, they get a set of sheets and a set of towels, and when they move out, they take those with them. So they're constantly in need of new sheets, so, I buy a lot, and they're twin size, so I buy a lot of twins stuff at, like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and it's relatively inexpensive, but they have fun stuff for kids, you know, like Mickey Mouse sheets and that sort of thing.
Oh,
You go way above and beyond.
No,
You are
no,
just
a
the
lot of
best
people do.
person. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Also
That's like-
diapers. You know, when I go to BJ's, I pick up a case of diapers because they go through diapers pretty fast.
and
Yeah.
insanely expensive.
Yeah, they
Oh,
are.
they are,
Yeah,
they're
they
outrageous.
That's 12 years ago when my kid was in diapers. I can't imagine
We-
now.
we-
Oh,
Yeah, they're very expensive. I think it's close to $40 for a case.
We
Yeah, yeah,
it's painful.
we used to use cloth diapers. for
Yeah.
Kids when they were growing up.
yeah. Okay, so what do you guys think?
I think,
And then-
I think.
Are we okay with this?
Yeah,
Other
I think,
than,
I think, you know, obviously as time goes on, we might want to redefine some of this, but initially, no, I think this is
to get
this is
started,
great.
okay? All right, and then I'll check with Ken and see what organizations he has on his list. And maybe he can just share it with us and we can add to it.
Yes.
But I think it is a nice idea to have that available, you know, when people come in. Okay, swap shop, what else here? I got an email from a woman I know who wants to volunteer. And she said, she had read our recycle committee meeting minutes. And I had a thought for the volunteer scheduling. First Parish uses the following link for people to sign up for things, Sign Up Genius. This is kind of what you were thinking about. I have no idea if it costs something or it's free. Alternatively, Google has a way, I believe, but I don't know how it works. I would like to volunteer, but it would be most helpful if there's a place I can go to on a regular basis to see who's booked for what days and what slots are needed.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
That
So I
sounds
thought that
really
was
good.
very helpful coming
And
from
that's on
her.
that's on the Google?
She said she thinks Google has a way. I'm not that familiar with Google.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I can.
And I can
Well, you
certainly look
can
at
use
Sign Up
Google
Genius.
Calendar, I mean, that's the cheapest way to go. But you'd have to put open access so anyone could modify it.
But this is a scheduler, right? What she's
This is
talking
for
about?
scheduling. Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
different.
Are you
That's a-
familiar with this Sign Up Genius?
I looked at about 5 to 6 of them, that's what I found. Some of them cost and some were for nonprofit, and then they
Okay.
had a commercial version.
Okay,
I'll look that up, Sign Up
Okay.
Genius, and see
Alright.
what the scoop is.
Gotta be some AI program that does it now. I mean,
yeah, we're not the first group.
yeah. There's definitely some new stuff out there that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, so, you know, I did get all of Ken's stuff on what he is doing. As you know, we need a release form, you know, volunteer release form. And there was something that,
Corey.
yeah, the quarry, so I have to check with the police department and find out how that works.
The
Need,
town- I think
they
the
need
town-
to authorize a quarry.
Doesn't the town do it?
Well, it says volunteers need to authorize a quarry be done.
Yeah, but it's not through the police department. I think it's the town does that because the town. I had done it to volunteer at one of Teddy's things through the schools and it was through the town website.
Oh, it
So,
is?
Yeah,
Okay.
Every time I've done it was through the school,
or yeah.
because I was doing recycling at the school.
Yeah.
And I want to say the town hall did it or
I'm
something
pretty
here.
sure it's the town that does the
The
quarry.
town, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we
the police
do,
department will do that.
right, so he did send us the release form. I think I sent that on to you guys.
I didn't see it.
I saw it. I actually forwarded it.
Did you?
to Clement. I forwarded it to Ken.
Okay, so I did send it out.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I thought it was a good
Okay.
one. I read through it.
Okay, it comes right out of the MIA, Risk Management Procedures Manual, so, it's been vetted, so I think that's what we'll use.
I don't know, I missed stuff.
Don't feel bad. I get so many emails. I missed stuff too.
There's a lot of
I just
stuff.
happened to look at it because I think it said release form and I'm like, oh, perfect. Cause I had just gotten done with the
Plymouth.
Kingston or the Plymouth meeting.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is perfect. So
Yeah, okay.
if you don't mind me sharing.
David, you want me to send it to you?
If you wouldn't mind.
Sure,
I
sure.
would appreciate it.
Jean, do you remember getting it, or do you need me to send it again? Send it again?
Yeah.
Okay,
You'll,
To support, they'll resend it.
Same thing with my phone.
Did you see it? Nope.
I got a phone call the other day. I actually made an inquiry and I didn't know.
Yeah.
I get the phone, I'm looking at the phone and I asked him, there was somebody else, I had phone, a stranger.
Yeah.
Had a good conversation, got what I needed.
okay. Is there anything else with the swap shop right now? The only thing I haven't picked up yet that I think we might need is some sort of hooks to put the vests on. So I need to pick those up.
So was the paint a yay or nay? I forget.
I think you should do it.
Yeah, non-slip paint,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but I mean, also for protection and as you
Yeah.
indicated, it'll seal the nails,
Okay,
which is, overall,
Okay.
initially it doesn't make a lot of difference, but it's gonna just be neater and long lasting that way. What about, can we go back to the sign for the swap shop? Do we want, what is it, is there any particular wording other than swap shop?
I was gonna get one that said swap shop. You said it should be on the side.
Yeah, well,
As
it's the
people
most
come in.
visible, because you can
Yeah.
see it as soon as you drive in.
Yeah,
In the grant, did it say you have to get the funded by?
Yeah.
EP?
Yes.
Okay, so you can get that.
so I have to do that too.
And we have to talk about sustainability too, because if we do go on the cheap, it's just gonna fade.
Right,
Yeah.
no, I'm planning on getting metal signs. There's a company in one of the Bridgewaters that the town uses
Oh, good.
for their road signs.
Oh, that'll be durable.
Yeah,
that's fair.
that's what I'm thinking.
Same thing for the,
Yeah, because what we got before didn't last.
no,
And if you notice, a couple of the signs that the town has put up at the recycling center are already starting to wash away. So,
Well, they have one there.
Mhm.
It's kind of set up like a triangle
yeah.
and it's metal and
Mhm.
it's a.
Yeah, the metal
professional
is
sign.
durable, and I think that's what we're gonna do.
yeah,
for
I mean,
the,
the road signs last forever, so obviously that's a
Yeah.
good finish.
Yeah, but it'll be a little more expensive. I
Well,
mean, there's gonna be,
in the short term, they're expensive.
right,
In
but
the
I
long
think,
term, they're-
yeah, it'll be the thing to do.
The same thing with the compost.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, anything else in the swap shop other than I've got to complete all the paperwork and get it in to the state in the next week or so.
Yeah, it's been by the end of the month.
Yeah, I know, it's the end of the month, so I have the form. And I've already filled out the form. That's why I was asking you about who signs down here. I think it's Keith. So,
Oh, that's the one that goes back to the state?
right,
Yeah, perfect, yeah. it's
Yeah.
definitely there.
So-
absolutely.
I'll send it to him to put on municipal letterhead.
Okay.
It asked about educational materials and signage. I just said to be determined because you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's it. But then we do have to get the little sign for the front of the building that says it was funded in part by a DEP grant.
Educational material,
Mhm.
the green team, they have educational material that's whatever the word is, like certified for schools,
Mhm,
the mass, whatever it is.
Oh, the green team site?
Yeah,
mhm.
because when I first started with the schools, got a lot of material. They had coloring books, they had all kinds of different things. This one lady was doing a thing about water and how it recycles.
Mhm.
And she was saying, that water you're drinking right now, that might have, a dinosaur might have
Yeah.
figured that out.
That
And I'm
would be so
like,
good. Extra nutrient.
Could we just back up to hooks for clothing? How many pieces of clothing do you think?
So I was
Separate
just gonna do three, we have small, well, four,
I-
small, medium, large, and, extra large, for Paul. Not the Paul you're thinking of, the,
do we want to put
Top
them
row.
in like a locker thing? Or if you hang them up?
Yeah.
Someone might say,
Well, if it's gonna be attended, I mean.
yeah,
you're
it's
right,
gonna be
somebody could take it.
attended, so nothing should
I could
disappear.
make just a wooden bracket with,
Didn't
No.
you say that about the bookcases last time? when someone took
do
the
a half,
book?
do a half a dozen hooks.
I just think I've still got the one from the old swap shop.
Oh, really?
Where do I have that? Cause I just cleaned my garage, so I could put my car back in again. Use that thing.
Which garage is it for?
Well, I've been gardening
I'm teasing, I'm teasing.
and I had all my pots and, I got rid of probably 100 plastic pots yesterday.
I mean,
It's not in the recycle bin, right?
No, they went in the trash.
you know,
I hate those.
there are garden places that take them back. Or we're
I
talking
know,
about-
these were not,
Oh, okay.
yeah, these
Because
were
they got a bunch I need to just rent
shot
out.
too many places. Yeah.
Do the gardening centers take those back?
Some of them.
Some do.
Yeah, I think Crystal Lake does, but I haven't made
Yeah,
my
also
my annual foray there. Yeah,
I wish they'd use better materials so we could actually recycle it.
I
Yeah, well,
do
that's the other
too.
thing.
But
Clay pots.
it-
There's a lot of those places around.
You
So
know, we went out to dinner the other night, and what did they give me for my leftovers? A black styrofoam container.
I don't know why why we,
Remember, months ago, I sent an inquiry to the Board of Health asking if they wanted to work with us on asking restaurants not to use styrofoam.
yeah,
Never got a response. Never got a response. Because obviously we can't do that. We have to be working with
that's a board
them.
of health.
Yeah. But yeah,
it's a
black
shame, it's a shame.
styrofoam.
Well, we can try and get that done in the next few months. We can just go to a meeting and propose it and say,
Yeah.
here's what we're proposing.
Yeah,
I'll sit in there with you.
okay.
I would go.
Great. All right, so I may be calling you, Todd, just make sure I
Mhm.
complied with everything
Good.
on this because we don't want to have a hiccup.
I haven't read through that yet, so I'm not sure exactly what it entails,
Okay.
but I'll take a look later.
So I think you already sent me DEP's logo
I think I did, but I
Yeah.
can resend if you need it.
and funded by a grant from Mass. I'm gonna say funded in part by
That's
a
fine.
grant
Good,
because it did not cover all the costs. So I
You
have
started
to,
EP funds though, right?
Hmm?
Did you use any town money or is it all REP?
no, actually it is. So I guess we should say funded by DEP. Okay, all right.
I was just curious. I mean, it doesn't matter.
No, you're right.
As long as it-
You're absolutely right. So I've got to get this paperwork done in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause-
Before you go on vacation, right?
Yeah, that last week is filling up really fast.
Yeah. All right, yeah, no, I'll read through that stuff later today and.
Okay, I just want to be
Be
sure that what we do is correct on that. So anything else in the swap shop right now? So I think once we get it up and running, it'll just be a matter of having enough volunteers, but I don't want to ask right now yet till I know when it's gonna be. There's one of the people who's gonna volunteer now works on weekends, so. Who knows? Who knows?
So do you wanna start the process of getting the shelves moved there? So we can
Absolutely.
put it,
Absolutely.
are you gonna do that or?
Hmm?
you
We can
gonna make the call?
talk to Rob, make an appointment with him to go over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Or,
I don't remember the dimensions.
you know,
but
or
they're-
Sean, you know, whichever.
Yeah, I'd like to measure them just to get the depth of the shelving
Mhm.
and, and then, you know, we can
Maybe-
decide how many units.
Do a
we're gonna
floor
put,
plan.
And then we can
Yeah.
do a floor plan and do,
Yeah.
you know, and that can be done very quickly.
So, Want to just get permission to go buy a house?
Well,
Well,
we
it's
can-
locked. You
Yeah,
gotta,
we need to be
Access.
allowed
yeah.
in. And I'm sure Rob must have access to it.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, I want to, the corral, so to speak, is
Mhm.
fully assembled.
Okay, wait, are we there yet?
We're sort of.
We are there yet.
Yeah.
We are there now.
It's
Okay,
fully assembled,
okay.
ready to be delivered, and I'm gonna ask Rob if we can take delivery of it this afternoon. And the thing about it is being fully assembled, they just have to place it. In other words, there's no construction necessary.
Okay.
But they
Okay.
do need to get those things pounded.
Well,
in the
that's, yeah,
ground
that'll
first.
be addressed. That was something that was discussed earlier on.
Mhm.
Well, they said they were gonna get them. right?
Yes, they did. They're expensive. You need a pile driver, for God's sake, if there's any resistance.
Good grief.
There was only one at Lowe's and the spike is that long.
I
I
have,
think I'm looking at it. What, are you kidding me?
I have a drive shaft off of a tractor, weighs about 150 pounds. So I just use it as a pile
Oh, that's
driver.
your pile driver.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sure they have something.
well, I'll just bring that.
But other than that, you know, they just need to put the stuff in the ground, make sure it's, you know, level and square and
Okay,
that's it.
so you're gonna talk to Rob
Yes.
and get that in place, and then we need to get the signage done for that too.
Do you have a list of non-acceptable items that Black Earth has perhaps
Mhm.
provided?
Yeah, it's that yellow sheet.
So, it's the yellow sheet.
Not the yellow, the other yellow.
Teasing. I'm teasing.
Yes, remember last year we had the rules put in every package that people got when they got their new stickers. It had the do's and the don'ts.
I don't have it. Because I thought we could do the one big sign that goes across the top. And then a sign for the side saying unacceptable items.
Okay, all right.
Because I know people look at, you know, like disposable, eating stuff, utensils. And that they're not recyclable in our situation. And I also see a lot of plastic bags, and I can only keep my fingers crossed that they're biodegradable.
Yeah, look on them. They should have printing all
Well, I
over
don't,
them.
I don't necessarily want to go diving into this.
No, but I'm saying you should be able to see pretty easily if they have the printing on them that says they're biodegradable. I use them all the time.
Plus, if it's an issue, they won't pick it up.
Yeah,
But that, I assumed
That's
that
what
what was going on was
I had
okay.
asked if there was any problem and they said no.
Well, that's good.
I just ran into that in another town. I don't remember which one. I can't remember which one now, but they said that Black Earth will not take up the container and then get charged for it. And if they come back, you can charge again.
Uh-huh.
So whatever's in there is.
Yeah, we haven't had an issue, so.
No, I had a couple times ago when we spoke about it, I had checked with Black Earth and they said no, they had no reports of anything in there that we shouldn't have been there. So,
I said, it's okay, it's gonna come out of the box again.
Good luck getting it back in.
okay. So thank you guys so much for getting the wood,
Oh, you're welcome.
getting it all
You're
put
welcome.
together, working with Rob to get it in place. The hand sanitizer, is-
That's the next thing. I gotta get the hand sanitizer.
that's over at the highway barn. Lynn,
Maybe I should address that with, Rob could do that too. I mean, get it because it's probably God knows where.
Lynn would probably know where it is.
Yeah, Len would definitely know.
Yeah, okay, so that'd be great. So I have two of the large buckets that were returned. Remember, we were talking about them just being sitting there next to the bins, so I have those. I just haven't gotten them scrubbed up yet. Are we okay there, Jean?
Does it run on batteries or does it run on?
Batteries.
Okay.
Yeah, batteries.
You just say, power torches.
Yeah, no, I made sure it was batteries.
That would suck when the batteries die. How do you get in your house?
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Well, it has a key.
Yeah. you gotta use the-
Okay. So, talking about organics, I have two of the big ones that need to be scrubbed up and one of the small ones that I'm gonna return, so. And then yesterday, I got there after Black Earth had picked up. And, there were 4 empty oil containers, so I picked those up, put them in the trash. So people are definitely bringing oil.
So they don't want that oil?
Yeah, they do.
They want the oil, they don't want the container.
They don't want the container, so they empty the oil into their bins. And then they leave the containers and we pick those up and get rid of them. So if you're there and you see empty oil containers, just put them in the trash.
They were full when I got there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, well, I'm sure they just picked up yesterday afternoon. Okay, anything else on the organics? No?
How much do we want to talk about what goes on the sign? Should we just say, on the big sign, it goes
Mhm.
across, the should we just say?
How big were you talking? How big? were
The
you-
unit's 10 feet wide,
Okay. well,
okay,
you
and
don't
the
want
sign,
to find 10 feet,
no, it doesn't have to be 10 feet, but it should
3 or
be.
4.
I
If you
might
make
even,
the same as the one. that's
I
on-
would even go to 6 feet.
Well, let me price it out.
Well, no, I understand, but,
Yeah.
and then that's the width, and then the height should be, the sign, the board itself should be about 2 feet. You can, whatever size you want to put the lettering.
Okay, so it's 2 feet high. And then, okay,
What about just like the regular sign that's over in the recycling area, the metal sign?
mhm,
But it's just big enough so that it's clearly visible
Right.
from there.
right, right.
And that's really where I'm headed with that, my idea relative to its size. It's just,
Right,
so it's so clearly obvious.
yeah. Okay. All right, let me price those out. See how much is that's gonna be. Okay, Black Earth Pumpkin Smash, I did finally get around to sending in our preferred date. So we'll see if, November 15th is good for them. Okay.
Where are they gonna be doing this, or they're just gonna pick it up?
Probably right where our yard waste area is. I mean, that would make the most sense. But I think they take them.
Yeah.
So it'll be about where the organic collection site is anyway. Okay, and Sean and I did put in for the grant for the countertop collection bins. Okay. And you have that. I don't have any update for you on batteries and light bulbs. I haven't pursued that. So on the outreach assistance, again, I think Jess has done a really good job on putting stuff on Facebook, and our tax bill insert should be going out this month. Okay. So countertop collection bins, we already talked about. SSRC meeting. Again, I had to attend that remotely. And you David, you were there, saw the presentation by the state on using the combis. That was the first presentation, right?
Were you here for that? Or did you
I
come
don't
in
think so.
later?
I don't think
I
so.
think you came in after that.
Oh, you did, okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right,
Thank you.
but
I'm
anyway,
pretty sure, 'cause,
I
yeah,
think you're right.
you came in after the presentation, because we had to cut it off because they were gonna go on for an hour.
oh, I know,
Yeah.
yeah. But you're gonna have it, you're gonna have information at your whatever your meeting is called, didn't you say? that?
Merc? Yeah, we're gonna have a Merc on an event, so yeah, we're talking about the Merc meetings on Thursday at our MAC meeting.
Okay,
So have they developed a plan? I mean, to disposal? Talking about batteries, right?
We're talking about OSD buying the state contract.
Fine.
Oh,
fine,
it's-
state
Yeah,
contract.
so no, batteries, since you guys, so just switching gears real quick, because we
Yeah.
talked about batteries, and I actually have a note here. Batteries, since you guys are a CMAS customer,
Mhm,
you get battery disposal through Complete Recycling Solution, CRS.
mhm.
So if you just have it there when they come and pick up the bulbs, I think they're in the trailer, right? All the bulbs.
No, there's a shed,
Well,
The
if
shed, yeah,
if you put them
shed.
there, they'll just collect everything and take it. So it's a kind of a natural thing.
You have to
with
separate.
batteries. Should, but do you
Right.
have to?
But
No,
what-
they separate them out
but what
there.
we were talking about was, Sean was supposed to check to see if they took regular batteries.
They do.
That's
They
what
do.
I'm talking, that's
CRS
really,
does.
that's.
They do.
All batteries,
Okay.
any battery they'll take.
All right, so then what I'm gonna do is have Jess talk about that. That all batteries should go over there, all light bulbs should go over there, so.
No, I did the tour and they're doing all batteries. They actually
What
go to
about,
the-
what about separating the little, the nasty batteries?
You should actually tape those off if you're gonna
Yeah.
put them in there. Because when they touch, if they're opposite, they can create a
Yeah.
spark and then.
Chris said his staff does that. At the end of the day. They go through the batteries.
Well, they do.
It's pretty simple. You just take tape, put it down in the battery. do it
Oh, yeah.
Tape up. It's really quick. I do it at home.
Yeah, I've done it, but I
Better
think
do
that
it
a lot of
by-
people, I think a lot of people won't.
So what do you
People
think,
won't,
Gene?
but-
Is that gonna work?
Need 4 AA batteries.
We need batteries, okay. Fortunately, I shop at BJ's and I have hundreds of batteries, because you can't buy just one.
No.
You have to buy like,
Oh, yeah, a lifetime supply.
well, I seem to be going through them pretty fast. Too many batteries. Okay. So I will ask Jess to highlight that. Okay. And I will also ask Sean for the LED sign at the transfer station.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay.
All right, back to OSD.
Hmm?
Back to OSD.
Yeah, back to SSRC. And it's most unfortunate that I missed that meeting because it was right here. The household hazardous waste depot that they've been working on. Lots of complications, right? You want to say anything about that? You're on that committee.
I would say
right?
complications. I would say it's very hard to find an engineering firm to do $100,000 project.
Yeah.
Nearly impossible. Like nobody wants a project that small.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
insane. It's insane. So originally it was geared towards companies that have dealt with hazardous waste. On state contract, and then they kind of open it up to everybody on state contract, and now nobody bid on it. It's just too small. That people aren't on hazardous waste, so it was very limiting with RFP. So we switched that up a little bit. We took out the requirement that you have to be certified in hazardous waste. Don't, it's engineering the ground. In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but we just need to find a firm. So they opened it up to everybody across the state, regardless if they're on state contract or not. Last thing I heard last Wednesday, Thursday, there wasn't, so they canceled the bids, the tour because nobody RSVP'd for it. And as of last week, there weren't any people that were bidding yet, so that had turned in any numbers. So it's still open. It's still open for another week or two, I think,
Okay,
probably another 2 weeks. And,
Okay.
but hopefully we'll find some. If not, I don't know what's gonna happen.
yeah. Now, this is something that DEP is promoting, right? That they want
Absolutely.
these?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
DEP is well aware of the issue,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I'm surprised it's not, there's nobody out there that.
It's just too small. $100,000 for an engineering firm is nothing.
I guess.
You know, I mean, they're looking for the 20, 30, 40, $100 million project, not
Yeah.
for 100,000,
Yeah.
with their time. So
You'd think, a small startup might be interested.
that was my point. I'm like, you gotta think outside the box here because the big firms, the well-known ones, are not gonna do it.
Yeah,
It's never gonna happen. You gotta find someone within town that's trying to build their resume and their,
Yeah.
and build their reputation to do something positive. So one of the searches was who's dealt with, has any firm dealt with the town in the past? Specifically him. Yeah, we've had one. Great, reach out to them.
Mhm.
Start there, start local and see what you can drum up. But at some point, it's gonna be, now we just need to talk to someone and see if we can have a conversation about, can you do this for us?
Mhm.
As opposed to, let's just send out a blanket RFP and see if someone responds.
Yeah,
So,
so that hasn't,
we'll know something more in the next week or two.
okay. All right,
Like, just an idea, if you could reach out to, say, MIT to a chemistry PhD who's doing something and see if you can work with them. Because a lot of times they gain a certain amount of knowledge and then they try to spin it off into a business. And that would be a good niche for them.
yeah, or a project. Good
I like
idea.
that. I like that a lot.
Good, you're so smart.
That's why we have committees, because everybody brings different info.
No, that's like,
I love science, engineering.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing made it in the trash so that we take it apart and see what made it tick.
Shall I turn all of that over to Eugene? And you guys will, I mean, you two are really gonna have to steer all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Call Paul.
The corral is all built. We just have to put it on the trailer
Right.
and bring it there. It's no, and then this stuff is pity, so that's.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, if
That out
it
this
gets to be too
afternoon.
much, call Paul and see. I bet he'd be interested in helping out, I'm still hoping at some point he'll join our committee.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it'd be very, very helpful.
Mm.
All right, anything else from the SSRC meeting? I bowed out. After OSD, I was too sick. I did get notes from Claire that there was some discussions after I left the meeting, and had to do with hazardous household waste. I thought I popped that in here, but hazardous household waste. No, I brought that. She sent. There was also yeah, okay. So there was Juanita, I'm sorry, was looking for transfer stations that had a fire from a lithium battery. So I sent that to Sean and he was sending it on to the police chief. And that one.
You definitely had one.
Yeah, we did.
Cohasset did too. Burn their whole.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things from her. This one had to do with the hazardous household waste collection they just did. It was in Pembroke and partially funded by Kingston. They had a total of 262 cars. Did you see there were cars from Hull?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Hull had 3 cars come down.
Surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty wide ranging. Abington had 3. So Kingston had 26. Pembroke 125, obviously, because they were hosting it. Duxbury sent 29. So a total of 262 cars and a total of, let's see, small loads 52, half loads 85, full loads 160. That's a lot of hazardous waste stuff.
Were you there for the discussion about how the one guy brought in 3 trailers? It was equivalent to
No, that was after I,
28 loads, full loads,
what was it he brought? Was it-
fertilizer. Yeah. It was literally 28 full truckloads of fertilizer, but it was in a big truck.
Right.
But it was $4,000 or $5,000 or something.
Yeah, it was,
The cost, it was insane. I mean,
it
blew the
was
budget.
insane.
It absolutely blew the budget, so
So could he be charged for all that?
they're gonna try and go back and send him a letter. I'm like, they were a Hampton resident, I believe, so,
Good luck.
yeah. I'm like, it says a big property, and it apparently does.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Well, I mean, when you schedule, so my point on that was when you schedule to come through, it's 1 load, they max out at 2 loads, right? So that's what the rule is, even though it's unwritten. This guy brought in, this the first load when he had a scheduled appointment was, if you think about it, it was like 25 loads, so split that into triples.
So he
So it's like-
put the wrong, he put false information on the registration.
Yeah, to
Yeah, and they should not have allowed him to bring the others.
yeah, so, I mean, it was just, yeah, it was bad, so,
Well, we learned a lesson, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the
so
law-
then they decided
You
to
don't want to
limit
necessarily
it
turn
to
it
2.
away either, I mean, if there's some.
I know,
breakthrough,
you want to
something
get
you
the
wanna
stuff
get,
out of the environment.
Yeah, in a safe place, but at the same. I mean, fertilizer is one of the ones, I get it's not the best, but. To bring in 3 loads, huge loads of fertilizer it's just.
Did he have a landscaping business?
Nope, it was his own personal, they double checked that, because
Okay.
my initial thought was, it's gotta be a landscaping company. And Arlene was like, no, he's a resident, it's his own property, it's a big piece of property, he just didn't use it all. So,
Well, I mean, what, is there a finite life to fertilizer?
I don't know, I don't know much about it, because I don't use it.
I
so.
mean,
Or was he cleaning out Timothy McVeigh's or?
That's a possibility. Oh my god, I was thinking the same thing, I'm like, is this guy in explosives or something, but I don't know.
Little Carson?
You know, Hanson's a little finicky about their politics, so.
Mm, mm. Well, anyway, we got a lot of bad stuff out of the environment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I'm really, really glad that people participated in that. As you know, monthly I get a report on the textiles. So this is total weight. Okay, at the high school, they got 290 pounds, I'm guessing. The middle school, 800, Kingston Intermediate, 860, Kingston Elementary, 1,385. And Dennett was 1,475, so a total of 4,810 in 1 month.
Well, we used to do that for fundraisers.
Wow.
Cause it's $100.
Well, the
a
PTO
ton
got
for the
$134.70.
PTO.
Yeah, yeah. So then out of our trailer was 5,000.
Ooh,
So that was a rebate to the town of $350. Okay.
Will my tax bill go down?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Probably not.
Feel like I'm living in Duxbury again.
Okay, do you guys have anything else? The OSD, I've got the slides from that. I forwarded those over to Sean and Keith and Lynn. Do you guys want to see them? I can certainly send them to you. It's the slides that she used for her presentation on what is combis and, you know, how do you use it?
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Okay,
I like the look in your eyes, you're like, why?
I know.
It's just super confusing to use that site.
Is it really?
It's, yeah, combines.
Yeah, because when I asked you, you said just Google it.
Good, if
Yeah.
you know what you're looking for, right? So you're looking for countertop scrap bins, right? Just do OSD state contract or Mass DEP state contract, either or, countertop bins, it'll pop right up. But if you go to the website, the OSD website, and try and look for it, good luck. That's like trying to do an internal search on Mass DEP, there's just so much.
Oh, no, yeah, you
It's,
can't.
it's just a wealth of knowledge.
Right, but it's
Find
not
it,
easy to
it's-
find.
It's not.
It's
but-
not easy
But
to.
plus, once you get the actual contract, then you've got to make sure that you understand how to click into which like sub item it is, and then you got to make sure that they actually supply that product.
Right.
And then it goes into more details. So it's like you're going down the rabbit hole just to get to who do I need to call?
Right. Now, did I understand her correctly that even if a vendor has a contract, you can reach out to them and see if they can give you a better
Yeah, you
price?
can always do that.
Okay.
You can always do that, yeah.
Okay, because I was like, well, if this was the contract they negotiated, why would they give a little town better deal?
They typically, so what I've seen and heard is that if you're gonna go upstate contract, that's typically what they stick to. If you were gonna go for RP, then they might sharpen their pencil a little bit, but, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
it's
gonna do
really-
an
it's-
RFP.
You're talking pennies, maybe $1 or $2 difference. It's not, you're not saving a whole hell of a lot. Plus, then you don't have to worry about 30B because the OSD's already done it for it. So
Right, right.
to me, it takes a lot of the,
Technical stuff.
just all the stuff that I don't want to deal with out of the
Right,
equation,
right,
right? So
right. I mean,
just me
it-
personally, it's just,
yeah,
it's easy.
I mean, it's basically vetted, so.
Yeah.
You can just go off of that. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. You guys have anything else before I go to Todd? David, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay, Todd, you have any words of wisdom or updates?
No, just make sure that if, the EPP webinar is coming out, that's the most important thing we've got going on right now. And that's for next fiscal year, so this is why we're attacking it before the fiscal year is over, because we want to make sure that people understand there's no more, buy recycle policy. That's going away in favor of an EPP policy, which is completely, and I don't know anything about them yet. So I will be on the webinar learning as well. And then I've got to go through and make sure I know that stuff inside and out. But there is supposed to be,
What's the date of that webinar?
17.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I signed up for it.
I want to say the 17th. Yeah, it is 17th at 2.
Are you gonna watch it from your hospital bed?
No, June
Oh,
17th.
Yeah, June 17th from 2 to 4. This is the biggest change in RDP for the next year. I don't think there's gonna be any other changes. I know Claire reported in the newsletter that there's gonna be all these changes, and I'm like, pretty sure there's gonna be one, and that's the EPP. So,
Okay, okay.
so I don't, nothing, outside of some wording issues, maybe some wordsmithing stuff. The only thing that's changing that I'm aware of is the EPP policy, that's a big one, and that's gonna have to be due, by mid-February. Next year, so, but
Okay.
it might take some time to get those things passed through the powers that be, so,
I sent that off to Keith and Sean too.
the EPP presentation, okay,
Yeah. I don't know if either of them will sign up for it, but
I don't know.
all I can do is provide information.
I do have a question for you all.
Yes. Mhm.
So I'm gonna start working on another in-person meeting, probably July or August will be the date. I'm taking the last week and a half of June off because I have to use time, so don't bother me. You can bother me, but I just won't get back. But you're gonna be gone anyway, so it worked out fine. My next meeting, I'm trying to figure out what people want to hear about. So we did waste reduction on the first one, which was back in, when was it, January here, something like that? End of January, end of February. The whole meeting room mix-up thing,
Mhm.
which we finally got the big room, which was good because there's more people than expected. So
Yeah.
if you have any topics that you want to hear about, just let me know and I'll start kind of putting that thing together here in the next month or two.
Well, what kind of questions are you getting from the various towns you represent? Is it a hodgepodge or is it?
Been all RDP, a lot of stuff on swap sheds, a lot of stuff on, not much on EPR yet, but they kind of surprised about. What else? I mean, the big focus for my district is really, for me, it's waste reduction, because our weights on the map, and you'll see it when we get.
Yeah.
the Map pride out. It's
We're
not
still
looking good.
high. We're still high.
That's another thing I want to talk about too, is do you want to try and tackle pay as you throw at
Yeah.
some point,
Yeah,
you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
ultimately before
you
you
know,
retire?
as long as we have the current town administrator on board,
Yeah,
because he is very vocal about
Yeah.
wanting to go to that. As you know, the situation with the superintendent is still up in the air.
mhm.
They're having public meetings now that they should have had before town meeting.
Yeah,
And I think we're gonna see it on the fall town meeting agenda,
okay.
to resolve that. So again, that's an unknown variable there
Yes,
as to who, how they go, what direction they go in, who's in the position to make those decisions. Um,
I guess my question would be, how is the budget? How's the budget going this year?
It passed without an override.
It did, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it
that's
passed
interesting.
without an override.
So the
um,
budget for the recycling center, how is, is that set for the next fiscal year, or is there troubles in it?
No, it should be fine. I think, Sean was advised that there's gonna be increases. They
Oh, there
did,
definitely
they
will.
did bump up the sticker fee. Um,
Do you know how much?
I'm bummed out. They cut the hours
yeah, they cut they,
on Monday.
on Monday, they eliminated the evening hours, which were
I
over.
saw that, yeah.
Yeah, that was an overtime issue. How much are the stickers now? It did go up $20, $40.
It needs to go way more than that, so we can actually,
I know, but people get upset every time you raise
they
it.
do, but that, when they go up enough, that's when you go in there and go, we can save you.
Yeah.
And here's the plan.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, that's the prime time to attack people with pay as you throw, is when those rates hit. Like I said, Barnstable, I'm paying $370 for summer. I throw 1 13-gallon bag out a week of trash. I'm subsidizing everyone else.
Everyone else,
It's
yeah,
awful,
yeah.
because with pay as you throw, I'd be spending maybe
A lot less.
$150 a year,
Yeah,
170 tops. So, I mean, I just don't use it that much because I don't have to, so. Yeah, it's insane, so. Once those rates get to the point where people start getting upset, is really when you go, all right, here's what we've got, we can counter this with something positive. And yeah, people get upset, but that's just educational series is all that is, so.
When do you need a new sticker bag?
July
July.
1st. Yeah, I'm gonna go try and get mine after this meeting.
Speaking of it.
Yeah, I would do it too if I had a checkbook.
So, but that's another topic, actually, Gail asked me about that yesterday in our one-on-one. All pays you throw for King.
Oh, I would love to see it.
It would save a ton of money on the trash, like your trash disposal would be cut in half. Probably. within the
Well, you
first
can,
month.
and the other thing, when you drive up to waiting to put your stuff in the bin, you can just see people, these huge plastic contractor bags that are
Yeah.
lumpy and dumpy, and
And
Not that there's
50% of that's recycled.
yeah,
What's
that's
in
my
it.
point. They're not separating the
Yeah.
trash.
Okay, regular is 260. 62 through 65 is 140. Senior is 110, veteran is 120. Recycling only is 60.
How
Second
much
sticker,
is a second sticker?
The second sticker is 40.
the seniors too?
Just says second sticker.
Okay.
So I think everybody pays.
They don't take credit cards over there, do
No,
they?
no, it's a check.
I thought they were working on doing that online.
They are.
Yes,
Not
I
yet.
thought it was supposed to happen last year, and then it got shot down for some reason.
it was supposed to happen this year.
Well, yeah, for fiscal year 25, it was supposed to happen, but it got shut down.
Mhm.
Or was it? There's a story, we'll wait. All right. Gotcha. I'll stop.
Okay, anything else from you? Okay, yeah, so I would, I would think that if you're getting a lot of questions on a particular topic, that might be helpful. The same thing, at the state level, what kind of inquiries are they getting? But I think more what's you're getting locally, what interests your people. Do you ever invite the legislators to these meetings?
I don't even know. That's the problem.
Well, we used to invite them to Claire's anniversary meetings. We
Yeah.
had pretty good attendance.
Yeah.
I
It's,
mean, I don't really get too involved with that stuff.
well, here's the thing. The Plymouth County Farm Bureau has a legislative breakfast every year.
Mhm.
They invite all of the legislators to come. And then they bring up there's a printed list on every table of the pending bills that they're supporting, the pending bills they're not supporting.
Mhm.
So any version of that where you could have, okay, here are all the pending bills that affect what we're doing. And here's the list of all your legislators, and you need to contact them and let them know.
So I can't get involved in that.
Okay,
But what I could do, thinking outside the box, is I could probably either have Claire or Juanita possibly talk about those, but I can't. I
Okay.
can't support, or I can't show any support for it.
fine, that's fine.
It's just part of the job. And
That's
that part does fun.
right, but it would
but,
be helpful
Yeah, it
for
would be.
attendees to know what bills are pending. And, who, make sure everybody knows who their legislators are, if they have, one to contact them. And that's easy to pull together, who the legislators are.
I mean, the other thought, I mean, you know a bunch of other people, maybe wondering, well. So what I can't have is, I can't necessarily have the legislators there.
Mhm.
I don't believe, because we've never, so at DEP meeting or a MERC meeting, we don't invite the legislators because it's something that we don't.
Okay,
It really stinks being DEP, we should be able to, but we don't. And I know John Fisher made a point to bring up that he wanted, with Greg's obviously blessing, they wanted to start backing some of the bills
Mhm.
at a DEP level, and I'm not sure where that ever ended up, but that was. I want to say it was at like Mass Recycle or something like that. He mentioned something to that extent.
right,
last
because they've
year.
never done that,
They've never done that. They've always taken.
which
the fair-
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, because it's DEP, we're looking out for the environment. We ought to be
Mhm.
taking a stance, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I do, but I get where they want to remain
Right,
partial,
non-political,
non-political, because it does get pretty, it can get pretty convoluted. and then
right,
you
so
start
maybe
involving
we
stuff.
just leave
So-
that for.
But what I would do is I would invite
Claire.
someone like Juanita or Claire to actually talk about what bills are going on and what needs support, because that's okay. I can have that done.
Okay.
So that's not a bad idea. I got that down. So thank you.
My observation, the trouble is, all these bills get stuck in committee. They don't release them, so the general legislature.
Well, that's it, you've got to know who's on the committee.
Yeah.
And that's where the pressure needs to be applied.
You're right, yeah, you need to know who's on the committee has the bill.
Well, the last bill, last session, I believe, got through and got to Ways and Means, and then Ways and Means just disappeared. It's like, where does it go?
Yeah, a lot of stuff disappeared in
Yeah.
Ways and Means.
So.
Well, they
it actually
waited
made it
out.
through that far.
Till the end of the fiscal whatever,
Yeah,
and then
It
it
expires.
just expires, and you
Yeah.
gotta start all over.
Yeah,
it's just a little.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's gotta be a better
It
way.
It is, it is. So if you're getting a
Uh.
lot of questions about swap shops, you could have like Falmouth talk about their
Yeah.
swap shop, or Halifax. I mean, those are two different models,
I
right?
would love to have Sue talk about it, but she's not one that likes to be people,
Okay,
so. Yeah, she's not,
does she have someone else there that,
no,
no?
unfortunately, no.
Well, that's too bad, because she's got a lot of information
She
to
does,
share.
she does. I mean, I could ask her, but I know she's not comfortable.
She's gonna decline.
Yeah.
if you give me a ream of printer paper, I can print out pictures of every swap shop, every rule book on every one of them, the whole. Cause I compiled all that when I was
Oh,
doing
nice.
the research.
And did all that research too for their done, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's some actually pretty interesting ones out. There's what's the big one up north?
Bobbleheads?
The model one that's got the huge awning, the huge awning.
Wellesley?
Is it Wellesley's the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really cool if someone from Wellesley, or even take a tour of Wellesley. That'd be really cool, but that's more of a master cycle type thing, where they
Mhm.
line up a tour.
That's
I
like a
still
well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I still haven't been up there. I would love to see it, but I've heard that it's like,
Well, they call it the wall.
Yeah.
And corrugated goes in one slot, boxboard goes in the next, and they have a baler down below. And they blend 60-40 corrugated with boxboard, because that's what the manufacturer will accept.
Yeah,
So it increases the volume, they
Yeah.
bale it. They've got like things that you would drop copper, brass in.
yeah.
It goes in, it's like a mailbox, so
Yeah.
once it goes in, no one can get it back out.
Wow, cool. Yeah, I
And
definitely need to tour that place.
Mhm.
they have a compactor inside the wall.
Mhm.
And I even ask people leading questions. I'm like, isn't this kind of a nuisance? You know, you gotta go, because it's like, they're like, no, it's like reverse shopping. I bring my card, I put this, go down, and it paid all the cost of operation, and it didn't cost the residents a sticker because they made more money. And then they gave back, I think, 1 year, 161,000 back to the town's general fund.
Wow.
So it was a
That's-
money-making
Wow.
operation.
Right, just from the copper, huh?
Well,
And the
Well,
cardboard.
yeah.
paper, cardboard,
Say they separate the glass by color too. You know,
separate the
it's
glass
what
by
we've been
color.
learning all along. The more defined it
Yeah, more-
is,
yeah.
the better return you get for it. But you've got to have, number one, the space to do all that. Number two, you've got to have someone who really has a vision
So,
and has the money for the startup.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, that sounds like a model operation,
Oh, yeah.
but what little community
the
can,
reality of the situation is
Yeah.
people don't have that kind of money.
right? I mean, I think ours is the next, you know, it's not perfect, but I think ours is the next best, you know, where we have so many different,
That's why I bring people here for two.
Yeah. because it's, at
Well,
least we separate quite a bit of
Just
it.
get your trash down to something reasonable. That's the
I
only
know.
thing that drives me nuts about this thing.
When
Instead
you
of
started
perfect
off,
too.
Yeah.
The thing.
they had an open top, and they go 2 trips a week to Brockton to VFI with 3/4 of a ton, and they used to laugh at us. Then we got the compactor, and it's 7 tons every 2 weeks, and we put it in the middle, and then we put cardboard, a paper on each side, and a commingle on each side. So it didn't matter where you go, it's
Yeah.
only 3 steps away from
Mhm.
whatever. And then when they pull one can before, the way it was with cardboard, that's what made me annoyed and want to join the recycling committee. I broke down
That's funny.
a ton of cardboard. I get there and they're like, where's the cardboard thing? Oh, we brought it over to Brockton. Then he's like, just throw it in the trash. I'm like, no, I did all that work. I'm not
Yeah.
throwing it in the trash. So I took it home and brought it back.
Yeah, but a lot of people aren't gonna do that. Again, no matter when I'm there, I see a lot of people recycling. It really makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Well, we had 3 parking spots before,
Right.
3 to 5.
And you have to go up
And
a
it was,
walkway and, you
Yeah.
know, wooden steps and walkway. So, yeah, what we have now is far
So-
more efficient. But we have some new staff there and they're not completely trained yet. Because I found a ton of glassware in the glass bin. And unfortunately, the bin was full and I could pull some of it out. And I pointed it out to one of the new employees and he said, well, that's where the glass goes. And I said, no, the sign right there says no glassware. So they're still learning. they're still learning. So people are not probably always getting the correct information.
I saw Vanessa's husband there yesterday. He had 2 pizza boxes and the
What do you do with
pizzas,
them?
he was gonna put them in the cardboard and the guy's like, no, you can't put cardboard in it. And he said, the pizza itself was wrapped in plastic. There's no oil on this.
Doesn't matter if there's oil.
Yeah, the oil doesn't make a difference.
Yeah,
Well, that's what they said.
Well, they don't know the root.
Where, here?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They gotta be
we
trained.
have new people and honestly, I don't think there's been as much training as they need.
Well, that was also a requirement on RDP was to make sure that you put pizza boxes are recyclable on the website, so.
Yeah. And I think it
you also
is.
got, the guy who manages things in Dale, he's got a personality like a rock. Well, really, he's a grump.
Yes.
Should I go up there and throw my weight around?
No, and I know that, Sean is doing what he can, but he's really stretched out. He is getting an assistant, which should help relieve him.
Right.
He's really, and then maybe he can focus a little bit more on that operation. He's just got too much on his plate, I think, right now, especially with the warm weather. His guys are really, really busy doing stuff that they wouldn't normally be doing during the winter, so. Yeah, so all things in time, I think. All right, Everett, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. Do you have anything you want to tell us about what's happening in Plymouth with your recycling committee?
Well, we did a site visit last week for our swap shop location. We're using even though it's not the ideal spot at the moment, we're using the old Cedarville transfer station for the location of that. We are getting should similar to your size. I think ours is going to be a couple or so feet longer than yours. But I believe it's a good size to test out the program for that. I think Ken might have reached out to you, Gene, for the swap shop items and everything else, because I know we are compiling from other communities what they do for theirs, whether it be the hours of operation, rules and regulations, list of acceptable and non-acceptable items and stuff like that. So we are meeting tomorrow with our findings on that to actually lay down our groundwork for the rules and regulations and operations for our meeting. And other than that, we will be talking about composting and black earth at our meeting tomorrow as well too.
Okay. Well, you guys are moving right along.
I wouldn't have any other way.
Good, good. Yeah, Ken and James came up and took a look at our shed last week, and Ken has been calling me on a fairly regular basis, so hopefully, we can help in any way possible to get you guys up and running, because we're all on the same page as far as recycling and getting swap shops to help us out with that. So, yeah. Well, I'm really pleased for your group. Do you guys have any questions for Everett?
I don't.
No. Well, Everett, again, thank you for coming into the meeting, and we're really interested in how you're progressing, not only with your swap shop, but with the recycling committee. To get you guys, because I guess we were all surprised that Plymouth didn't have an active recycling committee, so we're happy to see that happen now. All right, I think we're ready to adjourn. Does anybody have the bill for that? Did I keep it? It's
I
a, it's a,
think you did. I never. I
okay,
don't think you
because
passed
I
it.
have to,
After.
have to attach
You
it.
just,
Well, I've got this, but I
yeah,
don't.
but you, I don't think you were sent the wrong.
Yes, okay, oh, here it is. Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, Jane, I just
Right where
stopped-
it should be.
when I came in the morning and I stopped by and looked at the big display downstairs, it was fantastic.
That's all Jean. That's all Jean.
I
Yeah,
took a picture, I'm gonna share it with the group in Boston.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Jean did that quite some time.
Just when I walked in, I was like, when did I get there? I had to take a picture.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
good work. Nice
It
work.
used to have recycle bins underneath it too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, they've disappeared, but yeah, that was all
Yeah.
Jean's work.
nice. It looks nice.
It does. All right, so next meeting, guys. Technically, it should be the 8th, but 15th is when I'm back.
Sounds good.
July 15th, does that work?
Mhm.
Hey,
Works for me.
anything else before we adjourn?
Ask one thing. I
Absolutely.
don't know if it, you know, that scale house is right beside the swap shop. Do
Mhm.
we wanna like measure stuff coming in and going out? Or,
What do you
Weigh
mean?
it?
yeah, we have a sense of,
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but
It's a lot of extra work, but
well, all I have to do is whatever they got, just stand there and the guy can just print
Okay.
out the weight, and then we can calculate it.
okay,
And stop. And then we can say, well, we've removed, 5 tons of material from the waste stream to kind of promote it.
that's
And-
something you want.
And it would, at 5 tons at $100, it would have cost us $500, something like that, just a promotional thing.
How many days a week is it gonna be open?
2, Saturday and Sunday.
Just in the summer, it'll be around.
Well, it has to be at least 6 months in order for us to get the RDP points.
So one thought, just so it's not too cumbersome to do it, is maybe just do one day.
And then
say-
extrapolate.
Just do an average, right,
Mhm.
for the 6 months and say we've saved approx.
You
That's
know,
one thought.
the other thing is, my could be absolutely wrong, but my feeling is that the people up at the transfer station aren't gonna welcome. The other thing is that, having said that, you could, and the problem is the person driving has to get out of the car, go to the office, back and forth. So it's a little, it's not, it's not drive on, drive off kind of thing. And the other part of it is that if we were to get just a decent home scale, the person walks in, puts it down, gets off the scale, and then you get the weight.
They do.
I mean,
make-
that's much
They do make bigger scale, like the dog scales that you. if you got a
Oh,
pet,
sure, yeah.
And you can just put the thing on there and say, 25 pounds, 30 pounds. Like I said, you don't have to use it every day, you could just do the laws of averages
Right.
based on one
Well,
day a
yeah,
month.
which is-
Yeah, I mean, then you're not using all the time, but I mean, a scale there would be, they're not that much for one of the smaller
Well,
scales. I mean,
and it's, it just doesn't involve, I
Yeah.
just think you get resistance. And if I were part of the
Yeah.
team up there, I would.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
true.
see a lot of participation in it, but I think, what you're saying about, but I like the idea
That's
of
a good, it's
trying
it's a
to-
great idea.
estimate what we're removing from the trash. Yeah,
Hingham used to do that in high schools for their food waste, they would weigh it before they would. You remember that? They used to weigh all the bins, because, yeah. I know
did
that's
they
early.
weigh it?
Just scale, they had a regular, it was just a floor scale, and so it's the same thing, they use them at warehouses or distribution centers.
Mhm.
They use them at, the vets, you weigh the dog, right, the dog
Mhm.
just steps on the scale, so it's probably. Maybe 3 feet by 2 feet or something like
When
that.
you just put the stuff on there,
Oh, yeah,
you don't have to have a person.
no,
holding
you
it.
just put it on there, weigh it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they would do, they would take the whole bin and just throw it on there and be like, that's.
Yeah,
200
so
pounds.
we really wouldn't need to have it there all the time.
Well, it wouldn't have to be that big because,
Right.
we're dealing primarily with small items.
Right, right.
That's why I say almost a bathroom scale, a decent,
That would work too,
bathroom
yeah.
scale,
Mhm,
And it
and
wouldn't.
it doesn't take up any space.
mhm.
Although you're gonna get some people that just don't want
Well, you know,
Yeah,
I know.
but that's what I'm saying. Does the person actually have to hold it? Can you just? put the
You can put
material-
it on.
So I mean, no, I don't want people to feel,
I don't know, we could put it right at the door, walk on this or don't come in.
That's the fee.
we have a volunteer who would probably max it out. So,
Yeah, so we won't go with that.
No.
Just placing the item on there is,
No.
it's,
I think, yeah, I like the idea, but I don't know that we need to have it there all the time. We could just select a day or two, because I have a bathroom scale I could bring.
It's literally one day a month, or just do
Yeah.
whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's not a big,
I don't think it's gonna be too different from month to month unless you get a holiday in there. But,
Right.
I mean, it should be about the same throughout the whole year. You're probably gonna get, especially with this list, which is pretty detailed, you're gonna have a pretty good feel anyway of what's going in and out of there. You know,
Right.
as time goes on, you probably won't even need to seal something. You just say that's like 3 tons worth of stuff, you know?
yeah,
Or whatever it is for the
All
year,
right.
you know? Stuffed animals are assets, right?
no stuffed
Now that
animals,
you're taking those.
no stuffed animals, because you,
Uh,
yeah, you
Yeah.
don't know. Okay, all right, are we ready to?
I make a motion to adjourn.
second,
All those in favor, Jean, aye.
Aye.
David,
That's unanimous, so it's 10:57.